Okay, scrafters. It does seem like it's been a very long time, and that's because it has. COVID-19 has unfortunately interrupted the StarCraft tournament somewhat. But I have had this replay from Ollie. It's Lililyy versus Ollie Game 4. You might remember this is a quarterfinal matchup. It's a best of 5, and currently Ollie is 2-1 up against Lililyy. The winner of this, I think, goes through to play against Matt in the semi-final. I think that's right. Isn't that right? I think that's right. Anyway, Lililyy is playing Protoss and is on the right-hand side of Golden Wall, and Ollie also Protoss on the left-hand side of the map. So it's Lililyy sending a worker out first to come and have a bit of a look around, and let's see what she sees. Worker's going to come in, have a little poke about. I don't think this worker's up to any sort of mischief or anything. It is a pretty early scout, but that's kind of okay. It looks like Ollie is going to snag the worker and actually kill it, and that's a little unfortunate, because really you'd like that worker to have got out and hung around so that it can go and be a pest again soon. Looks like it's Ollie's turn now to get out on the map and have a little look around. I am not familiar. This from the newer map pool, and I'm not familiar with this map at all, really. It does have these rather interesting expos available here. This isn't really an expo, is it? This is a mineral wall here, which is a pretty weird setup. You've got some destructible rocks down here that you can open up this path in. So it's a pretty unusual map, that's for sure. And obviously if you send some workers, you can mine these out really quickly to open up that path in. So yeah, an interesting map. Looks like a pretty easy map to divide into. You can work your way up the left-hand side here as Ollie and be absolutely fine. Anyway, it's Lililyy with the expo first. Ollie hasn't actually been into the main base, I don't believe. He's just parked outside, just waiting for his moment. And if he were to come in, he'd see some interesting stuff. He'd see this twilight go down. Generally, if you see an early twilight go down, your first thought is to suspect either it's going to be a DT rush, because you need the twilight console so that you can get the Dark Shrine to allow you to produce those cloaked units and sneak those into your opponent's base, or it's going to be a lot of adepts. At this level though, I think adepts are unlikely, but you never know. So the slightly later expand for Ollie, not much in the timings really. If you look at the progress of these two, they're pretty similar. So both these players are in a reasonably similar position. If we look at the supplies, you can see that the worker supply is pretty much even. So everything looking pretty normal from both of these. It's a fairly lit side core finishing up for Ollie. So I'm not really sure what the delay on that was, because he doesn't really have anything else in its place. It's not like he's got an extra expand or a forge or anything like that. So, I don't think that's going to pan out to be too big a deal. Yeah, so the Twilight is finished up, but no upgrades coming from it or anything like that. The reason a Twilight is common for Adept play is because it allows you to get the Resonating Glyphs upgrade, which means that your Adepts are much more effective. But I'm not seeing any upgrades coming out from it. Another possibility for an early Twilight is a Blink all-in. But again, we're not seeing Blink in production, so it doesn't look like it's that either. So I don't understand what this is here for, because it was a very early Twilight, and thus far Lililyy hasn't done anything that requires it. No upgrades coming from it, and no buildings that needed it to be built first. Ollie, meanwhile, no warp gate being researched just yet, and in general as Protoss, you always get warp gate. It's what you get. Turns your gateways into these, which allows you to warp in units anywhere there's a pylon like this. Happens quite quickly if that pylon's in the vicinity of a nexus or a warp gate. Happens much slower if it's an isolated pylon, but it still happens. So it does mean that you can get a worker out onto the map and place a pylon on here, for example, and you can go ahead and warp stuff in there. This gold base is an interesting option. You can see there's only a single gas at it. There's not that many mineral patches, only 6 mineral patches here. But if you plant a nexus here because they're gold mineral patches, you can get your money back for that very quickly. But of course, it is really easy for your opponent to abuse that, to turn up, plant their army in this sort of position, kill your workers, and you can't get to them because the mineral patches are in the way. So it's a risky thing to do, to take that mineral, to take this as an expand, but it could pay off because you don't have to wait long to get your money back because those are gold mineral patches. It's Ollie with the quicker third. Not finished yet, but on its way. If we look at the worker count, is pretty even for these two, and there's not a great deal of difference in the army either. So I guess when this does come to an engagement, it's going to come down to the nature of the engagement, upgrades and things like that. You know, they've both got reasonably similar armies. This is Stalker Zealot. Lily's gone pure Stalker, but we do actually have the blink now almost finished. So theoretically, you shouldn't really lose blink stalkers to zealots unless those zealots have got charge, and look, charge is being researched. So pretty even, really. You know, with a bit of micro and the blink stalkers, you can certainly go across the map and get something done. This observer, for example, will allow you to be really obnoxious and really abuse that blink ability. One of the things you can do is park the observer somewhere like this, and it enables you to blink up into the base so that you don't have to walk past here. Whether or not that's an advantage in this scenario is a little bit debatable. It certainly will be once there's a complete wall off. Lily turns up now, in fact, and is just going to go ahead and march in here and try and get something done. So I'm not sure about that aggressive blink. That was a bit weird, but anyway, I think I'd have been tempted to just blink back the individual stalkers, being focused by the zealots rather than blink all of the stalkers at once. I'm not sure that achieved much, but a few units killed, a pylon killed, a building gateway killed. So Lily's going to back off for now and feel pretty good about having got across the map and put a little bit of hurt on her opponent. Ollie, meanwhile, does have a slight worker advantage with this third base up and mining a bit quicker than Lily's was, and a few additional workers at it. So yeah, it's going to eke out a very minor income advantage. There you can see it's a couple of hundred minerals. I always do that. I'm just not used to this overlay, so I still don't look down here. So there is going to be a bit of an engagement here. Lily needs to use that blink function really to, well, get out of there. There's just too much here. These charged zealots will tear through stalkers quite quickly. But when you've got blink, you can run, but I don't see any shield batteries here. There is another batch of stalkers ready to help out. Now again with the aggressive blink, and I just don't know that that was the right idea. Blinking on top of zealots, it is not great. Zealots are melee units, you want to keep your distance from them. So really the way you want to use that blink upgrade is to allow the zealots to come forward, attack a stalker, and then blink those individual stalkers back one at a time so that their shields can regenerate while the sort of next few stalkers take the hits to the face. So blink in that way can be really useful. What you want is a kind of conveyor belt of stalkers so that the ones at the front are always being blinked to the back and then being replenished, blinked to the back and being replenished. It looks like though Lily has lost so much army that it's hard to see how she's going to recover from this. This lot is going to come in. And there's quite a few charged zealots here, so Lily could almost do with warping in even some sentries so that she can use force fields to zone out these zealots and keep them off the stalkers. Is going to have to pull the workers to get involved here, and this is not looking good. Army supply plummets for Lily. It has come back up a little bit, but she's just lost most of her production. Only 2 warp kits still powered. The Immortal doesn't know where he's going. Oh no, just walks to his death, and that is a real shame. The Immortal could have helped out quite a lot if it had stayed at the back. The Immortal has a good range. It's particularly good against these stalkers. walking into the middle of the fray like that, though, somewhat unfortunate. And indeed, Lily taps out. GG. So it's Ollie that actually goes through, winning this best of 5, 3-1. Look at that. GG.